Hi, I'm Dima Sharif.
And I'm Sandra Boros.
I'm the founder of DS Consulting Club and the Grow Pro Shop.
And I'm the founder of Sandy's Kitchen.
And this is From Scratch to Success. When we start a business, definitely our priorities change. Definitely our time is more consumed, and as such, we don't have the luxury of time. When we have so many things that we need to worry about and so much to get done in any one day, it doesn't mean that our life stops. It doesn't mean that our children can wait. It doesn't mean that our social obligations are no more. Even if we are running a business, we still have so many other responsibilities in our life, and it kind of gets a little bit too much. We want to be successful, but success is wholesome. It is not a success story when my business is doing well, but my family has broken apart. It's not a success story when my business is doing well and I'm barely holding on to my family and all my social relationships are gone. That's not wholesome success. When we say success, we want to be overall successful. That only happens with organization. That happens when we set the priorities. That happens when we understand that we can't prioritize everything. Some things are non-negotiables. Other things, we can give them time at certain intervals. And some things need to be dropped off the line.
I actually love that. Success is wholesome. This is really beautiful, because it's not success if you succeed in your business, but your family life falls apart. It's not.
It's not.
It's not. You're going to end up feeling miserable no matter how successful you are as a business owner.
Yeah, and we hear so many success stories, but then we read the back end of the story and we realize that so many homes were broken for this success story to happen. So many relationships are gone for this success story to happen. And that's not success.
No, it's not. It's not. Especially as entrepreneurs, people who own small businesses, a lot of women there, a lot of moms, a lot of... I personally did this because I didn't want a 9 to 5.
Yes.
I did what I'm doing because I wanted the flexibility. Why did I want the flexibility? Because I had a family, I had kids. I wanted to take my daughter to Taekwondo. I wanted to go to the football games. I wanted that.
Yeah.
I'm a mom before I'm a business owner.
Yeah, and probably why you left the job.
100%.
To have that option of time.
Exactly, because I wanted... it's not that I became any less ambitious. It's just that I prioritized my family. Mm-hmm. I prioritized being a mom without letting go of my ambition of things I wanted to achieve for myself as a person. Mm-hmm. But I felt like being an entrepreneur, and I'm sure you felt the same because you're a mom
100%.
too. It was kind of a way to have both. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you talk about existing as a business owner, it's just another thing that you do, but you're someone's daughter, you're someone's spouse, you're the mom. You could be a mom.
Your social
many
responsibilities
things.
are still
You are many
there.
things. You're somebody's friend. So those don't fall off the map just because you became a business owner. Although it might feel like that. Yes. I'm telling you, the first year was really hard. Mm-hmm. The first year, the day we opened, my best friend came over, and she works in operations. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe it was a Saturday, or even she took off and came, and she started taking down the orders, and she got us a little bit organized. You know who your friends are when you're completely swamped.
Yeah.
But going back, this is just one facet of who you are. Mm-hmm. And the other facets are never going to disappear. And you as a business owner need to learn to manage that role among your other roles.
100%.
And I would even go one step further as saying my role as a business owner
It's secondary.
is secondary. It's less important to me
Thank you for saying that.
than my kids, than my husband, than my family, than my parents, than all of that.
Listen, let's start at this point. What is really important? What is really important? Businesses, they come, they go. They help you feel fulfilled. If you are one of those people who feels like they have a calling, it helps you fulfill that calling and actually contribute and give your 2 cents to the world. And it might even contribute to your financial stability at some point. And so, yes, we're not saying that business is not important. But what's really important? Your kids, they're in your life forever. You're in their life forever. That relationship, there's nothing like it. There's no fulfillment you'll ever feel from a business in comparison to the fulfillment you feel from the single hug and love that you share with your kids.
100%.
Your husband or your spouse in general, that's important. That is a relationship that you have chosen to be your companion in your life, right? And remember, when you have made that decision was life-changing on all levels, and so that's important. Your parents, that's also important. Your friends are important, right? And so just because you want to start a business that might or might not work, that you love passionately today but might hate tomorrow, that you own today but might sell tomorrow, you don't lose the things that matter the most to do that. The better option will be is you need to look at the situation and realize, and we have to realize that we are taking on more responsibility. We are adding on to the big task list that already exists as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter, as a friend, as a neighbor, all of this. So we're adding more pressure there.
And sometimes, on top of a job as well.
Yes. And so here, what's important is prioritizing. Prioritizing can never happen unless we internally understand what takes precedence, what's more important, and what really is the priority.
Now these are our priorities, but each person has his own set of priorities. So what's relevant to them may be different. But again, this is where they come in and they decide that this is my number 1, my number 2, and my business maybe comes in at 3.
Yes, thank you. And so that takes us to, when you're setting priorities, you have to have a set of non-negotiables. So for example, for me, one of my non-negotiables is I want to drop my kids to school. I want to pick them up from school because that gives me the time to connect with them in the morning, prep them for the day, and also, see them go off and tell them to have a good day, and then pick them up and then see what was happening in school that day, how their day went, and if anything needs addressing or if anything.
Of course,
right?
Be a mom.
Yeah. And so if somebody wanted to book any appointments or anything, any meetings, anything at that time, for me, that's it. It's booked.
That's blocked.
Yes. And so that's an example of a priority. But of course, everybody has their own. So you have a set of non-negotiables. These non-negotiables, they have to happen. For example, a very good non-negotiable is me time. I know nobody does it, but me time takes away the potential of burnout, takes away the potential of becoming so overwhelmed you can't make the right decision. And so me time is important. Now, me time before business could have been 6 hours a day. After business, it will have to be an hour and a half, 2. Okay?
2 tops.
But don't drop it. Just
you need
reallocate it.
You need it.
Yeah,
you need
and
it,
then maybe me
function.
time was every single day of the week. Now it happens over the weekend and maybe once during the week. Me time can be your 5 minutes in the morning that you actually get dressed, put some music on. Maybe that's your thing. For me, for example, I wake up an hour earlier because I need to have coffee and read and watch the news.
Set the day.
And just stay relevant and know the world that I'm living in, and the things that you care about. Also a little bit of self-development by reading, by exploring. Me time can also be when you take that vacation once a year or maybe twice a year. So everybody can set it differently, but you need to have, first of all, the non-negotiables, who the priorities are. Then you also need to understand the limitation. As a small business owner, you're limited with your time. Your time is allocated, and as such, you really cannot give everybody all the time in the world like you did before. And that, let me just say it and take it with a grain of salt, right? You know, a very, very popular person, for example, an A-lister in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You try to get in touch with them, they don't necessarily call you back.
Oh, yeah.
Or you don't necessarily get through to them. Somebody will pick up and take the message and say, okay, we'll pass it on.
Thank you.
And get back to you.
Thank you for your message.
Right. Let's apply it to a smaller scale. A CEO of a company, you want to call them, you want to go see them. Sorry, we can't do it at this point, the secretary says. Maybe we'll get back to you on when we can schedule this, right? Okay. Anyone who's outside of business will say, I can't believe how arrogant she became. She doesn't have time to even take the call, right? Because that person is coming from the outside of the small business world.
And that person probably knew them when they freelanced.
Right. Or probably knew them when they had nothing. But
Yeah.
here's the thing, CEOs don't have time to give every single person that they know. As such, everything is by schedule, everything is by appointment, everything is prioritized. I'm sure that the CEO's husband or wife is not necessarily
By
taking an appointment, okay? But when you are like a neighbor or a friend or someone who's reconnecting from 10 years ago, you have to give them the excuse that really it's not that they don't want to see you, but their time right now cannot accommodate this as freely and spontaneously as you would like.
Yeah.
Right? But then let's reverse it. You in that role have to understand that some relationships will not take priority.
Can we say they won't make the cut?
Yes, okay, maybe that's a little bit harsh because what we're saying is don't drop them completely, but it's okay if you only see them once a month instead of once a week. It's okay if you see some people once every 3 months instead of once every month. And it's okay to see some other people once a year instead of once every month. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Now, maybe it's not wise to do that with kids.
You should not.
Right? But then, jokes aside, like really, you need to understand that your time is no longer your own. You have responsibilities. You have taken this on, and it puts a limitation on your life. You need to be clear in your communication with the people that you care about. You need to explain to them how your time is working at the moment. You need to schedule things in advance. You need to be able to reach out to people for their understanding. You don't just stop calling people and drop them off and you disappear. You, in fact, take the time to call people and say, you've crossed my mind. We haven't seen each other in forever. And I actually really miss you. Unfortunately, I cannot see you. But I really miss you and thought to drop you a line or to call you or, and let's like schedule something.
That's really nice, though. I think we've stopped doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to do more of that.
For us, sometimes it's easier to drop the headache. It's just going to cause headache. Let me not have that conversation. It's going to cause problems. Let me just pretend I don't exist. That causes the bigger problems.
Yeah.
For me, for example, anytime anybody crosses my mind, by the way, I know them deeply, I don't know them deeply, whatever it is, if somebody crosses my mind, most of the time I'll send a message and say, hey, you just crossed my mind, or hey, what's up, what's happening, just keep things alive.
It's so nice for the person receiving that message, though.
Right. But you know this, how many times, we haven't spoken in I don't know how long, and then I'll be like, Sandra, what's up?
How
what's
are
happening?
you?
Yeah.
And I'd be like drowning somewhere.
But that's nice
Yeah.
because you reach out to people, you show them that you care about them, even though if your time doesn't allow.
And you also teach them that it's okay for them to reach out if they haven't reached out in a long while as well.
Right. Look, we need to I think that in a way, social media, because it's kept us so instantly connected, the expectation has become, I've sent a message, why don't I have the answer yet?
That is true.
Yeah.
The expectations are so much higher, and you expect everything to come at the same minute of the same day. I mean, because today my WhatsApp is full of messages from school, messages from clients, messages for work, messages from my family. So it's everything.
Yeah.
It's
Like I
everything.
have people telling me like you're online because look, I refuse to remove the blue tick, the red blue tick, because I want people to know that I've seen it, I've read it, and understand that I'll get back when I actually can. Right? And so people see sometimes that I've seen it and they say, but you were online and you've seen it. Sometimes actually I'm not online and I haven't seen it, but because it's connected to my computer and my computer is on and it gives the red.
I removed it actually.
I actually didn't want to
have
remove
removed
it.
it because if I read it, there's a very high likelihood I won't answer, so I leave it unread. And I don't want to, I don't want the person to think I read it when I've...
For me, I find it the other way around. It's okay if the person sees and knows that I have read it, did not reply, because I couldn't.
Yeah.
Right? And it's okay for that other person to just be patient with me. I will get back, because I do.
How long does it take you to get back?
Look, sometimes it depends. Honestly, if it's not on my priority list and if it's something I'm not interested in exploring right now and really don't even have the time to reply, I won't. But then after a while, when I have the time, I'll just get back to the person and say, sorry, I didn't get back to you. It was really busy at that point.
Yeah.
And
look, I do that. But the way, for example, I have this once a week or once every 4 or 5 days where I go through all my unread WhatsApp messages and I answer everybody. And again, talking about systems earlier, like this is a system that works for me.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. What I want to say here is there are 2 layers to this, right? There's your part where you need to be confident in your non-negotiables and in your priority list.
Yeah.
And you need to back it up, no matter what. Then there's the part where the other person needs to also be patient and wait. Just because somebody didn't reply does not necessarily mean they don't like you, they don't want to talk to you, and shame on you for getting in touch. It means that that something was happening and they couldn't get back. We need to give each other a little bit of excuse, and actually
a bit of leeway.
Assume that people have good intentions,
Yeah, and people are busy.
Yes.
I mean, living in this city, I mean, everybody in Dubai, everybody I know is extremely busy.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. And so we need to give people leeway. We need to give ourselves leeway. However, that said and done, we need to not be trapped in our fear of being judged by other people. Let people think whatever they want. I know why I didn't get back. I know why I did get back. I know what my time has. I know what kind of appointments I'm going through right now. I know what kind of scheduling I'm going through right now. And I know what my priorities are. It works for me because as a small business owner, I need to care that my business succeeds. I need to care that my family is doing well. I need to care that I'm covering all bases. Yeah. And so if you're not on my priority list, don't take it personal, right? You need to be able to sit comfortably with this thought. I know that some people will find so many ways to get back to this and say, oh, and this is arrogance, or this is this, or this is that. Say.
I think my friends understand me at this
Exactly.
point.
That gives you comfort. Look, just because you're running a small business doesn't mean you stop living. End of the day, why are we creating businesses? Isn't it to be happier, more fulfilled, better in everything, successful, happy?
You can't be fulfilled if your life is falling apart, but your business is flourishing. So you have to find a way to strike a balance.
Yes. And when I ask people, what do you think of balance between work-life balance? And most people tell you there's no balance whatsoever, and you just have to choose. That's actually a very grim way to look at things.
But I will tell you that on some days my family wins, and on other days my business wins. I can't say I'm balanced every single day, but overall I am balanced.
But balanced every single day is another issue altogether. That's perfection. If we understand there's no perfection, not in your business, not in your personal life, not me as a person, not in the way I think, not in the way I run my business. There's no perfection, right? But we all try our best to, create the circumstances that work for us to eventually reach our wholesome success, which is a growth journey at the end of the day. And if we're not growing in our thinking, in our contribution, in our ability to manage and handle, right? Then what's the point of this whole exercise? What is it? Like collecting warehouses? Hiring
protests?
teams, shouting all day long, why is this not done?
Having fights with your suppliers.
That's not the life that you're building this for. And so you need to kind of find your bearings, find the balance that works for you, not for anyone else, and operate from the space of growth and opportunity rather than fear and judgment.
And if you don't have the balance today, work on getting there.
Exactly.
It's a journey.
Exactly.
It's a journey. Let's not expect people or ourselves even to have everything set, to know everything from day one. It's a journey. You have to learn how to be more balanced. If you're not balanced today, you have to work towards it.
100%. 100%.
Guys, don't forget to follow Dima on DS Consulting Club and the Grow Pro Shop. She will always have the right tips for you to be able to grow your business, to flourish. If you have an area that needs help, just get in touch with her.
And I have to say that Sandra is pretty cute, isn't she? I mean, you're listening to her and her stories. She's sharing her stories with you to show you that you're not alone, that we all go through this. She's sharing from her journey, where she started. And so make sure to order her cookies and try them. They're the best. I'm not just saying that. I swear to God, once you start, never, 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 never can you order any other cookies.
You know what makes me think that they're actually really good? It's like my kids are still excited about them as they were on day one.
I'm telling you.
Like for me, this is a win. I'm good.
Your cookies are to die for. Try them.
Thank you.